France's decision to shift its trade dealings with China toward yuan-based transactions marks a significant departure from the global reliance on the US dollar. The pivotal moment came in March 2023 when TotalEnergies, a leading French energy company, facilitated China's first liquefied natural gas (LNG) transaction in yuan. This development was not just a one-off event but the beginning of a series of yuan-denominated agreements between French and Chinese businesses. These agreements span critical sectors such as energy, manufacturing, and technology, signaling France's willingness to embrace a more diversified and multipolar global economy. This shift aligns with China's broader strategy of positioning the yuan as a global reserve currency, challenging the dominance of the dollar. For France, the move is also a hedge against potential economic vulnerabilities linked to sanctions or economic pressures originating from the US financial system. The country appears to be charting a course that balances its traditional Western alliances with pragmatic economic strategies tailored to the realities of an evolving global economy. The relationship between Europe and China is marked by decades of trade expansion, but it has not been without its challenges. As of 2023, the bilateral trade between the European Union (EU) and China reached €739.5 billion. However, this growing interdependence has been fraught with imbalances, including a €291 billion trade deficit in favor of Europe. Recent years have seen escalating trade tensions. In September 2023, the EU launched an investigation into Chinese electric vehicle imports, citing concerns about state subsidies and their impact on European manufacturers. In response, China opened investigations into European agricultural exports, accusing European nations of engaging in dumping practices to maintain competitiveness. These disputes highlight the fragile nature of the EU-China relationship. While both parties benefit significantly from trade, political and economic tensions remain high. France's alignment with China on currency matters introduces a new dimension to this relationship, potentially altering the balance of power within the EU and reshaping Europe's collective stance toward China. De-dollarization, once a concept championed primarily by emerging markets and BRICS nations, has gained traction in recent years as countries seek to establish greater economic independence. The BRICS bloc, comprising Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has been at the forefront of this movement, advocating for the use of local currencies in trade and developing financial systems less reliant on the dollar. France's involvement represents a critical turning point, as it signifies that de-dollarization is no longer confined to non-Western nations. The motivations for de-dollarization include economic sovereignty. Trading in local currencies shields nations from U.S. monetary policy fluctuations, such as interest rate hikes or inflationary pressures tied to the dollar. Geopolitical strategy. De-dollarization reduces the risk of financial sanctions, which have been increasingly used by the U.S. as a geopolitical tool. Strengthening regional currencies. The success of currencies like the yuan in international trade provides an alternative model for other regions to emulate. As more countries, including traditionally US-aligned nations like France, explore de-dollarization, the global financial system may move toward a multipolar structure, challenging decades of US dominance. The US dollar's role as the world's reserve currency has been a cornerstone of its global influence. Currently, the dollar accounts for 58% of foreign exchange reserves globally, dwarfing competitors like the euro, yen, and yuan. However, the emergence of alternative currencies and digital financial innovations poses a growing threat. France's embrace of yuan-based trade adds legitimacy to the de-dollarization movement, particularly as it comes from a nation historically aligned with Western economic policies. This shift could set a precedent for other developed nations to consider diversifying their currency dependencies, potentially eroding the dollar's influence over time. Analysts caution that while the dollar remains dominant, sustained moves by key global players toward alternative currencies could reshape global financial systems in the coming decades. The European Union has long recognized the risks of over-reliance on the US dollar. Efforts to promote the euro as a global reserve currency have included encouraging its use in energy contracts and exploring the development of a digital euro. Despite these initiatives, the euro's share in global reserves fell to 20% in 2023, reflecting challenges in competing with the dollar's liquidity and widespread acceptance. France's partnership with China introduces a new dimension to Europe's currency diversification strategy, demonstrating that alternative approaches, such as engaging with the yuan, may yield tangible benefits in specific sectors. The implications of de-dollarization extend far beyond France and China. As more countries adopt local currencies for trade, the architecture of global finance could undergo profound changes. A multipolar financial system would reduce the dominance of any single currency, creating a more balanced global trade environment. However, this shift could also introduce complexities, such as fluctuating exchange rates and increased competition among currencies. For the U.S., the rise of de-dollarization poses a strategic challenge, as it risks diminishing one of its key levers of global influence. While the full impact of France's decision remains to be seen, its alignment with China highlights the shifting dynamics of global trade and finance. By reducing dependence on the dollar, France is not only seeking economic advantages but also signaling a desire for greater geopolitical autonomy. This move could strain traditional alliances, particularly with the U.S., as nations increasingly prioritize pragmatic economic strategies over historical partnerships. For other countries, France's actions may serve as a blueprint for navigating the complexities of a rapidly evolving global economy. France's entry into the de-dollarization movement is a watershed moment that underscores the changing balance of power in international finance. As nations like France and China work to redefine trade and currency dynamics, the era of uncontested U.S. dollar dominance may be coming to an end. For policymakers and businesses alike, the question is no longer whether de-dollarization will occur but how quickly it will reshape the global financial landscape.